Welcome to a tale of progress and innovation. Today's video is set in Las Vegas. I am here at Texas Instruments at CES, which showcases the most current and groundbreaking technology innovations. We figured it was the perfect opportunity to discuss some of the technology innovations we can see right here in Las Vegas. First up, EVs and combustion engine vehicles. Let's quickly go over the general specs of each vehicle. First, we have our EV. The electric vehicle is also known as a battery electric vehicle. They have an electric motor instead of an internal combustion engine. It has a battery pack that powers the electric motor and must be recharged. Because these vehicles don't need typical fuel to run, they also don't need the typical fuel components of a combustion engine vehicle, such as a fuel pump, fuel line, fuel tank, etc. Next, we have our combustion engine vehicle. A gas-based vehicle will typically use a spark-ignited internal combustion engine. In this system, the fuel is injected into the combustion chamber and combined with air. That mixture is then ignited by a spark from the spark plug. Although gas is the most common fuel, there are other alternative fuel options that use similar components. There are many reasons someone might choose one over the other. These reasons can include factors such as speed, mileage, affordability, etc. As an electrical engineer, however, I am more interested on what we can find inside and the different tech needs necessary to make each car a reality. To tell us more, I invited Director of Automotive Systems Engineering over at TI, Fern Yoon. Can you tell us what the different technology requirements are for one car versus another?
What we have here are two different vehicles, two different engine types. When we look at semiconductor technologies that enable with these cars, there's actually some similarities, and then there's also a lot of differences. So let's start with the similarities. They both have semiconductor technologies that go into your braking systems, that go into your airbags, and then of course that go into the lights, even basic interior comfort functions such as seat memory seats or heated seats, things that drive your display in a vehicle. When you look at the differences, really the differences come into what makes the car move forward or the mobility, the propulsion piece. The electric vehicle, of course, is driven by electric motors versus a mechanical motor. And with an electric motor, there's a lot of electronics that go into making it move forward. So think about processors, gate drivers, and then the critical one is the battery management system within an electric vehicle. So instead of gasoline, it uses a set of massive batteries that power the vehicle in order to move forward. And for those of you that have anything that's portable, you know you have to charge your batteries every once in a while. And so you've got electronics that go into making sure that the batteries can charge safely. It's making sure that your batteries stay healthy. And then it's also making sure that we're converting the energy efficiently from the battery into, say, the traction inverter, which is what makes the car move forward.
And so now speaking specifically to the different lines of integrated technologies that are coming out, would you say that there are some very large differences between what ICs might be used for some of these very specific systems for each vehicle versus another?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that I don't know a lot of people think about when you look at a combustion engine versus an electric vehicle is the thermal management, or what we call the heating and cooling inside a vehicle.
I didn't think about that.
A combustion engine runs your HVAC compressor off of the belt, and it pulls heat off of the engine block. Well, in an electric vehicle, you actually don't have an engine block that generates heat. So now you have to install either a PTC heater or a heat pump and some sort of a thermal management system in order to generate heat in your vehicle. The other difference we talked about is the battery management system, the onboard charger, the traction inverters, and the safety systems, the power distribution unit that goes through it. And that's also another major difference when you look at an electric vehicle versus a combustion engine.
Now, we're all aware that automotive technology has actually been driving us towards self-driving technology and self-driving vehicles. But what does that really mean? Now I want to ask you about the topic that's been on everyone's minds and will be on everyone's minds during this week, which is self-driving vehicles. I was just in the Bay Area and I saw some of these self-driving vehicles and I was telling some people that I thought it was so interesting that a lot of these people want to get in the driver's seat, even though it is self-driving. They just want to try to retain some of that autonomy. And it's so interesting to me. But what can you tell us about the current state of that technology right now, and where do you see it going in the near future?
Sure. So there are, when we look at autonomous driving, there are 5 different levels of autonomous driving, level 1 through level 5. And the level of autonomy increases as you go from 1 to 5, meaning that the requirement for the driver decreases as you get up to higher levels of autonomy. It's going to require a multitude, a blend of technologies that's going to enable higher levels of autonomous driving, because it is not one particular sensor or technology that's going to be able to do everything. It's going to be a blend of camera technology, radar technology, ultrasonic, and various other sensors that really need to work together in order to build that intelligence to give the car more and more intelligence.
Okay. It's so interesting you say that, because when I saw this vehicle recently, I actually just saw it this past weekend. It was my first time seeing one of these self-driving vehicles, like fully self-driving vehicles. And it had cameras everywhere, and it had some on the side, it had some in the front, it had some in the back. And I remember my friends and I, we just saw that and we said, what is that thing? And why is no one in it?
It's certainly jarring if you've never seen it before, because it looks like a car, but with a lot of extra parts to it. And then you look and it's like, there's nobody in it. Why is it driving? So it's very interesting.
Working? And you know, a question that I had when I saw that, I remember we looked it up and we read that a lot of these vehicles are pretty much only in major cities, and they don't leave those cities, and some of them don't even really go on highways or freeways, for example. And so, is there a particular reason for that, speaking about the current technology? I mean, something that I was imagining is, I know what it's like to be on the freeway, I know what it's like to be in traffic, and I know for a fact that some people don't let you into the lane when you're trying to make an exit. And you have to maybe, like get a little aggressive and sort of be like, I put my lights, you're not letting me, I'm just gonna go.
Oh, you're gonna edge your nose in a little bit.
I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
So what level of aggression, right? Or like this kind of decision making on the spot when the things that are happening, the people around you aren't reacting the way that you might expect.
Sure.
What level can it potentially do at the moment, and can it maybe not? And that's why right now it's not really in those types of scenarios.
I believe that we're still at the very early stages of this technology, where we're learning, discovering blind spots, and then figuring out, how do we make that better? How do we iterate? And so it's going to be something that's going to take years, I believe, in order for us to really build a true understanding of capabilities, situations, and then make sure that the technology development investments follow that and build upon the capabilities and the needs in order to make those safe for all use cases.
Now we're going to talk about the old versus new, which is why I am right here on Fremont Street. Old technologies, new technologies, how they come together, and how that transition happens over time. For this portion of the video, I'd love for you to make the walk with me. What do you notice? Based on our current knowledge of technology and our experience with it, we can see that this portion of the city clearly looks old-fashioned. Fremont Street and the newer portions of Las Vegas help us create the perfect juxtaposition where we can see the way technology has evolved this city. And when we look at the newer portions, of course, we can tell the difference. However, this difference does not come without a cost. A lot of the different technology advancements we've discussed come with a very important technology consideration: energy consumption. And particularly, energy consumption over time as these technologies become incorporated and evolve. I'm here with Errol, who's going to explain to us what's going on right here.
One of the key things here would be, like, for example, vehicle to grid is a big topic as well. So not only charging the car, but then using the car to actually as a source. So let's say like your power is out, then you can use your car to actually power your home in those
Oh.
emergencies. You know, as you start adding more and more, right, you're gonna have more demand on the grid, and the grid has a certain capacity. Now, either there's two ways you can do it. You either build another, you know, power station, which definitely costs a lot of money in the infrastructure, or you can use other sources in this case. In this case, let's say you're getting towards that capacity of usage, then you can maybe utilize your car to subsidize some of that, putting it back into the grid. So that's one thing where we see that also with like energy storage. Maybe you're using that in your home instead of using the grid. That will then start like reducing the amount of like, you know, consumption there, which then you'll be able to have more capacity at that point, right?
Got it. So we can kind of think about it as a flow of energy depending on where we need it most.
Right, exactly.
I wanted to dig in a little bit more about our developments in technology and their impact to the grid. And what a better way to do this than to continue on with the example of the electric vehicles. So let's chat with Fern about this.
Okay, Fern. Now, to talk about the impact on the grid of electric vehicles and the transition that we've been seeing, I thought it would be fitting for us to be inside of one.
First of all, I think electric vehicles really has cool technology in it, and it's something that I see really accelerating in the future. However, one of the challenges that hinder electric vehicle adoption worldwide would certainly be the availability of the charging infrastructure, the electrical grid. And if you think about, you know, countries worldwide, there are certainly countries that still struggle with having a steady electrical grid or a reliable electrical grid, and adding the charging of electric vehicles onto that grid is certainly not going to be an easy task. And that's going to be something that we need to consider worldwide, and what technologies can go into helping that. There's certainly a lot of technologies looking at also, you know, the types of energy sources that can be used to generate the grid. There's certainly a lot of technology going into renewable power, a lot of semiconductors that help, for example, convert solar energy into the electricity that we use. Another space that we're investing in at TI is the capability to build battery backup systems or energy storage systems that can be used for residential or industrial buildings. Those will certainly help shore up the grid as it is today in order to support electric vehicles. But depending on where you live in the world, I think that there's still a lot of growth that needs to come with regards to the grid.
Well, there you have it. Personally, I learned a lot, and I really hope you did too.
That concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments how you feel about these different technological advancements and what they mean for you and your future. See ya.